about before. So I would like to start with you telling us so far in your career, what do you think has been the standout highlight?
Okay, I'll mention two highlights in my career for three of them. However, I will start with the fact that I'm somebody who believes that at every phase in your life, it's a highlight. I won't say I had this very big moment in my career that, yes, the fact that I pass an exam, that's an highlight. That's a highlight for me there. I give myself a pat on the back. The fact that I see a patient, I answer a question that they have, I'm able to help them get the right answers, make better healthcare decisions. That's a highlight in my career. And that brings me to say that in medicine we are always on the go. What's the next big thing? What's the next thing? What's the next step? That we never really take time to say, hey, I've done a great job so far. Pat on the back for me. So for me, at every step, every day I leave my house and come back, that's a highlight because I have made a decision in a patient's life. I show up every day. That's a highlight for me because there are times residency can be so hard. Medical school can be so hard. You don't want to even leave your bed. So the fact that you're able to wake up, take your bath, put on makeup, put on your clothes, go out to school or go out to work and come back, that's a highlight. And I pat myself like, hey, a pat on the back, well done. Now going to say like major highlights in my career so far were the fact that I graduated from medical school, the fact that I wrote my exams and I got into residency. That was like the biggest highlight at the time. I got into residency at Morehouse School of Medicine, which is a great program. I was super elated at the time. Now going through residency and then getting to match into endocrinology, I'm like, this was a big deal for me. Just rounding up residency, getting into fellowship and knowing that I'm going to be impacting lives in no in small and big measures, that's a big highlight for me. And I would say being a part of EIM, Excellent Lady Docs, is a big highlight because a lot of times our lives as women in medicine, the medicine tends to overshadow a lot of other aspects of our lives. So I'll say being a part of EIM is a major highlight for me because I see other women like myself who are doing great things in the medicine space, in the health tech space, and I'm like, yeah, this is a big deal. So in summary, every day, every success, every challenge tackled, every question answered is a highlight for me, and I've learned to celebrate myself along the way. Intermittent celebration, that is it. I don't wait to the end of the year if I celebrate myself. Intermittently, I'm like, yeah, well done. So that's how I define my own highlights in medicine.
That's actually very good. So that's just you telling us to enjoy the process, everything that happens in the process.
I enjoy the
Like that.
process. Yes, we'll do delayed gratification. We'll celebrate at the end of graduation. But you have passed that test, celebrate yourself. You have passed that exam, celebrate yourself because you're one step closer to the finish line than when you initially started.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ufuoma. So talking about success, how would you personally define success for yourself? Is it well, the influence? What's your definition of success?
So my definition of success is that one is success to me is being healthy by myself, to be able to be the best version of myself to the people around, best version of myself to my family, immediate extended, be the best version of myself to my at my job, be the best version of myself in church, in my spiritual way. So I feel like being healthy enough, and it's not just physical health, mental health, emotional health is success to me. Achieving my milestones at the pace that God has set for my life, not at the pace that somebody else has set for my life. And there's one thing that my husband always tells me is that there's you can always improve on anything. Nothing. The only thing that cannot be improved upon is God. Everything else can be improved upon, regardless of how great He is. There's always something to adjust and make it better. So that's one way I define success. I'm not comparing myself with anybody else. This is my life that God has given to me. I am going to live it the way I want to live it. in accordance to his will for me, which is to be the best version of myself wherever I find myself. So I'm not comparing myself with anybody. We're not running the same race as anybody. In fact, we're not even on the same field. It's not the same track. The field is different. The tracks are different. So I'm competing with myself by myself, not with anybody else. And so that's the way I define success. Success, it evolves over time depending on where whatever phase we are in life. Our goals for ourselves changes per time. Our taste buds change, our desires change. We have changing paths, we may have detours. But as far as we are moving in the right direction, that's how I would define success. Yeah.
So, have you experienced some news or setbacks? If you are too personal to share the analogies, but we would just really uh, like to know how to navigate low points, setbacks, especially if you have been a trailblazer, somebody that has experienced success so far.
Trailblazer. Oh, I don't know if I would define myself as a trailblazer. I think in a kind of way, I would say I'm a trailblazer. But there are also times where I tell people that I was a late bloomer. Even though I knew what I wanted to do earlier on in life, I was never among those people that came out first, second, third in school. So if you are looking, this is no shade to those who are high achievers. I will always tell anybody that please do the best you can at every point in your life. If I was to go back, I want to be a trailblazer. I want to achieve a lot of things. But this is where I find myself. So I was never one who got first, second, third prize in school. But at the time where I knew what I wanted to do with my life, when I go, finished medical school and everything, I would say that setbacks will always come. Always. One of my major setbacks was when I initially got into medical school, but because my scores were not high enough at the time, I had to go do anatomy and cell biology. That was a breaking point. I was broken to my bones because I'd already made friends in my class. You know that kind of ginger, that medical school ginger you have as a young adult, and then they tell you have to go do something else. It was breaking, but thus
Is this a requirement for like University of Canada to have people go
no.
study
So
before they got to university?
this was in a different university entirely. So I did my undergrad at Delta State University. At the time, it was a little bit complicated, but it happened that way, and we are way beyond that at this point. One thing that I learned from that experience was somebody told me, he said, and I'll speak it, it was said in pidgin English, but I'll try to say it in English. He said, it's only you that came to this school by yourself. You're the only one that came by yourself. Nobody came with you. So you have to move by yourself. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the best graduate from this department. And that was my goal. Be the best I can and get back into medical school. Before my brain shifted and I said, I don't want to go to medical school again. No. But at that point, I was like, me and this anatomy, they will see something. So I went focused and I achieved that goal because that was my only goal at that point in time. Be the best graduating and just keep it moving. So that was one challenge I faced. In medical school, I had to retake my pediatrics exam, not because I was dull or anything. It just so happened I had a clinical failure, and that was also another breaking point because I saw a lot of my friends, they passed and they did well, and I had good cumulatives. I passed. It was just a certain part of the exam that I failed. But if you fail that, you have failed everything. At that point, I said, God. But one thing I learned from it was the power of intentionality. At that point, I don't think I was a very intentional person. So just having that feeling, I asked, I said, God, you have to tell me the reason why I had to fail this exam. And one thing I learned from it was being intentional and just going back, dusting my books again and see where I may have missed it, trying to relearn all that I had known before in a better way. That was one thing I learned from it. And I think that has helped shape me into the kind of person I am today, about being intentional about my own success for myself. And then the other part, the third major setback I would say was when I did not match into residency initially. I had put in everything, blood, sweat, money into it, and I did not match. It was really breaking for me at the time. But all of these failures I've experienced, I think my husband says that I'm someone who bounces out of setbacks really quick. I will cry today, next day we are moving. So the thought during my second, one thing I did was I reached across to people and say, hey, those who have matched, how did you do it? Let me see your CV. Let me see your personal statement. And I gathered all of them, edited my own, compared and readjusted to make myself appear more competitive. And I expanded my options wider, applied to wider programs. And I think I won't be in internal medicine now pursuing endocrinology. If I had matched initially, I would have probably been in a different specialty, pursuing a different path. But I'm so blessed and excited at where I am right now to be going into endocrinology. So our setbacks, they happen, but we can learn from it. That is not the end point. It's just a detour, and a lot of blessings and changes, positive changes, come from the setbacks that we experience. It just depends on how we handle it. Yeah, setbacks come, we move.
Very much. I would like to also know, because you had mentioned that you didn't need individuality, you had matched the first time, but I'm not sure how the program works. Do you choose the specialty that you want to match into, or does I'm not sure if it's an algorithm or like a sitting of 12 elders that then decide this person might be, this person might do well in endocrinology. So, did you choose endocrinology second time, or if you did, why were you always drawn to endocrinology, or was it like always? Did you have a list in med school that maybe psychiatry first, endocrinology second, or surgery third, something like that? So,
So so the way it works in the US is you match into general medicine or general pediatrics or surgery, depending on whatever. For me, I matched into internal medicine. That's just general internal medicine. You're going to learn everything, all the systems. You're going to learn cardiology, hematology, oncology, endocrinology, and all of that. Then you have the choice post residency to decide to go. And residency in internal medicine in America is 3 years. But you also have the choice to either go self-specialize in any of these subspecialties, or go work as a general internal medicine physician, which is properly called a hospitalist. That means a general internal medicine physician who works in inpatient versus being a general medicine physician who works in the clinics as primary care. So I chose to go do fellowship in endocrinology, which is an additional 2 years of specialized endocrinology, metabolism, and diabetes medicine learning. You can do an additional year of research, but it depends on what your path is, or you can go do cardiology or nephrology or gastroenterology. It depends on what you decide. And with doing that, you have to apply to those specialties and to go through the whole interview process again during residency to be able to match in those specialties. And typically, a lot of people apply at the beginning of of their third year of training, such that as they're finishing residency, they're going to start fellowship immediately, right? Versus, so you don't come into residency, match into a subspecialty. You come in generally and then you go subspecialize if you decide to. And then what drew me into endocrinology is the fact that coming from Nigeria, I wanted to do cardiology. I'm like, oh, I love cardiology because I really like the physiology behind cardiology. So I really liked it. And that came from the fact that I had failed pediatrics and I had to learn the physiology afresh again. But I think that's a time into my love for endocrinology as well. But when I came into the US, I changed my mind because of certain personal decisions that I wanted to make and the way I wanted my life to look like. I decided to pursue a career path in endocrinology. And I'm so glad I did that because endocrinology is a whole new world. It's way beyond just diabetes that everybody thinks. It's way beyond just diabetics. But even if it's just diabetes, the incidence and prevalence of diabetes worldwide is at an all-time high. Global there's a global shortage of endocrinology. So I'm really glad that I'm in a space right now where I'm able to meet the needs of my patients, make an impact, and still have enough time for myself, for my family, and to do the things I like to do outside of medicine. Yeah.
it's nice to know that it's not a Speaking of elders that chose technology for you,
No,
that's very nice because it's going to be a little worrying to know that maybe your life is decided for you by
nobody
whoever.
decides for you.
But
Nobody decides for
is the
you.
second application here? Like,
It's easier than the first one. It's easier depending on the specialty you're applying into. There are a lot of specialties that are very competitive. I'll leave that for
does
whoever
it
is interested
ever
in those
stop?
the competitiveness.
Yes, do we get to a point where you just it's just a breeze? You don't have to apply for something that's like 90 million other people are applying for. You can just
I
walk in
do
and say,
not
"Oh, I want to be here." You can be there.
I do not think so. Everything in life, you have to put in the work into it, invest in yourself, invest in the process, and apply yourself. Yeah, I don't think it ever gets less competitive, but yeah, I don't know.
Is what it is. Like, yeah. All right. So, you had mentioned, in fact, you already sort of talked about what I wanted to steer us towards. What's the other things that you do outside of medicine? So, apart from being an endocrinologist, which is cool, because I mean, I have a bias that just the hormonal pathways or whatever is going on in the endocrine system is sort of I don't know, I feel like every hormonal issue or something, there's always a try this drug first, we'll see if it works or something. A friend of mine had an issue recently, and they asked her to use a cheaper drug and then give her another more expensive drug. And the doctor was telling her that, see, most of what we do here is trial and error. See, the hormones, we are not really sure what's going on there. Like endocrinologists, they're sort of playing God, sort of. So I think it's very cool. But so when you are not being an endocrinologist, what are you doing?
Okay, so just for clarification, I start my endocrinology training in July. So right now I'm still a general internal medicine resident. So while I'm not in medicine, for now, medicine takes a lot of my time right now just because I'm preparing for my board exams. I'm involved in research, but I still like to do decor. I've not done that in a long time. I really would like to engage more in that. I like to make jewelry. And then for now, I think most of my life is just either I'm sleeping or watching a movie right now because I don't, at the point where I am right now, I don't have a lot of extracurricular activities. But things that I would like to do when my schedule is up a bit, I would like to engage more in just traveling, exploring new spaces and exploring new places around the world, learning new languages, reading more non-medical books. And I'm glad that EIM provides us that opportunity to read a book and try to review it. That's something that I feel like medicine this last 3 years has taken a lot, a lot from me. Just learning non-medical things, learning how to build a particular thing or learning a different skill outside of medicine. Those are things that I really like to do, engaging my family, engaging with my friends, just doing non-medical things because medicine can be very all-encompassing. So in summary, I would say things I like to do outside of medicine, I like to make jewelry, I like to do interior decoration, and I like to cook for my husband when he's around. I will cook for him, yeah. But what else? And then just my self-care. Go do my nails, go do things that make me happy. Do like just enjoy your life. That's what I was.
So let's sidetrack a little bit. So, medicine abroad, you can have your nails done, or do you keep the aesthetic that we are sort of the rigid aesthetic that we're sort of streamlined or limited to in Nigeria over there? In that maybe
No,
you have to have this, you don't. So is colored hair allowed, or can you have your nails done and all of that?
you can have your nails done. For me, like coming into residence in Nigeria, I used to do my nails a bit, but into the US, I think the whole of first and second year, I had my nails done. But it's not like you can have it long, that is long to the one that you want to grab and fight some. No, it has to be a modest length that you are still able to perform your clinical duties without it interfering, right? For me, it is a form of self care. At the time, it was just my happy space. I know that okay, at the end of the month, I'm going to get my nails done. So it was like okay, just keep working. That was the goal I was pursuing at that time. Like okay, it was like a reward at the end of every month to say okay, I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to get just those things that just make you happy, knowing that you're going through a marathon of training at that time. So yes, in America you can do your nails. um, there's, I'll say, in terms of like your appearance, it's a little bit more relaxed than we have in Nigeria. You're able to, I know in my medical school at the time, you were not able to wear pants as trousers to the wards. You can only wear skirts. Yes, I know things have changed. I heard that things have changed now in my medical school, but I do not know. But from our own time, you can only wear skirts for rounds, clinical activities during the day. At night, you can come in the way you want to look with your white coat on. But I feel like here is a little bit more relaxed. Whatever color of hair you want to come in with, as far as is not um, it is not unkept, because people here have, you have a lot of people from different races with different physical appearance, different hair colors. So those limitations that we had in Nigeria are out of the way, right? But there's still the discipline of you must um, appear well kept enough to earn the regard you have from your patient. Yes. So a lot of us wear scrubs in the US, but like when we're in the clinics, my program puts on the restriction that you have to wear a white coat and you have to come in you have to come in formally dressed for your clinical, for not that you're gonna come squeeze one scrub and appear. No, your scrub have to be pleasant enough for you to care for your patients. You wear your white coat on or you wear your sweater on it, because it's always very cold in the hospitals. But in the clinics and even on the floor, a lot of people wear their white coats. Even on the scrub, some people wear their white coat on it. But in the clinics, you still have to appear formally dressed. So that's one thing that still holds steady in medicine here. You must appear pleasant enough for your patients to be able to regard you as their physician.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. That was a personal question for myself. All right. So back on track. I think we should be rounding up now. I wanted to know, so from your standpoint now, what advice would you give to maybe other women trying to juggle medicine and other life goals?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that a person will take too much time trying to find an answer to a question that has already been answered by somebody else. They said if you want to go far, go on the shoulders of those who have gone ahead of you. Find a mentor. For me, I don't think I found the mentor. My mentor found me, because I met Dr. Jumi. I heard about her from a friend. After I matched into my program, they were like, "Oh, she's in my program," and then I met her as a third year while I was an intern in residency. She was like a big auntie to me at that point. I was like, oh, Dr. Jimmy, that kind of friendship. But it has evolved over time to a mentorship. So Dr. Jimmy is somebody that I know that the struggles I faced, she had faced them. And she was someone a godly woman, married with children, pursuing career and doing great things. So I'm like, this is a good person to follow. So find a mentor who you know will guide you along the right path. And I'm so glad to be a member of EIN, because Dr. Jimmy will push you to achieve great things. Show up audaciously, like she always says. And one thing that I not just heard, but I saw strength in Dr. Jumi. And I don't know if I'm free to say this here, but I think I would. When Dr. Jumi had her third child, she was heavily pregnant on the floors, and you will see her with her belly, and she'd be like, "Farmer, come in, oh." And I was like, And then just a month after giving birth, she wrote her boards and she passed. I'm like, hey, I better follow this woman, because all on her head, it has to replicate. And there are times where I've had to make career decisions, personal decisions. She has always come through to say, hey, you can do this, challenge yourself, do more than you're currently doing. I remember my first year, or in fact the first 6 months in residency, when I talked with her, she said, this fellowship, you must do it too. You don't have a choice. You can't just come and just go and do. You must advance more than what you want to settle for. So I feel like every woman in medicine who wants to balance medicine, family, career, other stuff, find a mentor who is doing what you would like to do. And I think for female women in medicine, and coming from the African background, we are not open enough. We're not vulnerable enough with each other, and it's a bi-directional vulnerability. We're not vulnerable enough to share our stories, share our successes, our victories, and the challenges that we face. And that's why I'm so glad that I have a mentor like Dr. Jumi who will push me and stretch me to do what I should be doing, that God has given me the strength to do, but also give a listening ear when I have challenges or when I don't meet my goals. So I feel every woman should have a mentor in medicine. And because we have a lot of stories, we have a lot of experience to share, to go around, and I think that would greatly impact the healthcare space if women are giving women grace, strength, and just the motivation to do more with their lives.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I suppose we can actually round up here. This has been super, super insightful. Thank you for indulging me. But I'm going to let you to indulge me for one last question. So, since we are dwelling on mentorship, and mentorship is, I mean, a very good ammunition to have if you want to go far without having to do the back work that everybody else has already done. Would you say that you have always been amenable to mentorship? Were you always open to mentorship? Were you always looking for mentors? Have you had other mentors before Dr. Jumi now? And also going forward in medicine, we like to, or in health generally, we like to say maybe see one, do one, teach one. You intend? Are you currently teaching one? You intend to teach one? Is it part of the plan in maybe a few years' time? Just
So do one, see one, assist one, do one, right? Yes, I will always be a mentee in one way or the other because there are greater mountains to tackle or to bring down. So I will always be a mentee of those who have gone ahead of me. Dr. Jumi told her, "You're not getting rid of me. I am still here to stay." And just by virtue of what she has poured into us over time, I'm open to mentoring others, and I think that that's one area that God has really helped me with. Like, I have good relationships with people that I would also want to pour into their lives from what I have received so far. I do not want people to make the same mistakes I made advancing in my career. So if I can share what I have learned with them, I would want to also do that for other people. I may be doing it for some people right now, indirectly or directly, but I feel like Dr. Jumi, we need to have like a replication of Dr. Jumi in different spaces across medicine. And I hope that all I'm receiving from her, I'm able to pour out into other people going forward. In general, mentorship is something that should not be underemphasized in medicine, outside of medicine, just across every space. It makes one more efficient and achieve your goals more easily or faster than one would normally do without somebody guiding you along the way. It's easier to just get the answers from somebody and trying to figure it out on your own because time is also wasted during that process. I don't know if I answered all of it. I feel like there's one part of the question that I did not get to answer. I had mentors in a certain way, but I'll say Dr. Jumi is the first real mentor that I have had. And I think I may have had like informal mentors along each phase in my career, like while in my BSc, while in med school, I had like resident doctors who I looked forward to. Yes, I've had mentors like spiritual mentor. I still have my spiritual mentor. Yeah, but in terms of somebody who was very on my case regularly, I've not had someone like Dr. Jumi before. And I think because at some point I was always the older person in among my cohort. So I was like, okay, I think I have the experience to navigate where I am right now. But looking back, I feel like if I had somebody like this earlier on, I would have made some adjustment to my decisions that I made earlier on. But I'm glad for where I am right now. So yes, I've not always been open to mentorship, but right now I'm very open because there's a whole lot I do not know, and there's a whole lot I need to go and navigate through. And for women who have gone ahead of me, I'm like, please show me the way. So that's really it.
right. Thank you, Dr. Ufuoma. This has been a very, very
Thank you too.
insightful and interesting session. I think we can end here now. And where can we find you in case maybe people who interact with the podcast want to connect, see what you do on your socials, and maybe interact with some people there on Instagram? Just let us
That's one area that's one area I'm still trying to work on. Me and social media, we're not very, I don't know. I think I'm going to improve in my social media presence, but right now I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn name is Ufoma Agbedia Ejugemre. I think that's one area that if anybody wants to reach me through LinkedIn, I would definitely see it, see your message, and try to respond as fast as I can. The other spaces, I'm not so sure. But LinkedIn, that's a given. I will definitely try to respond to those who reach across to me through LinkedIn.
being it is then. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to have been here today.
I'm glad to have you.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Excellent Lady Dog podcast. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to comment, share, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Excellent Lady Dog for more inspiring content. Until next time, keep striving, shining, and being excellent.